A successful entrepreneur walks into a luxury car dealership, his stride purposeful and full of anticipation. The air was crisp that Saturday morning in Austin, Texas, and the city was alive with weekend energy. Logan Carter, a 42-year-old self-made businessman, parked his polished black Audi in the dealership lot. The vehicle had served him well over the years, a testament to his practical yet refined taste. But today wasn't about practicality. It was about celebrating years of relentless dedication and countless sleepless nights. Logan's eyes settled on a gleaming silver Aston Martin Vantage parked near the showroom's entrance. The car's sleek design and powerful stance embodied everything he admired: precision, elegance, and unyielding ambition. He adjusted his tailored charcoal suit, smoothed his burgundy tie, and stepped out of his car, his shoes clicking against the asphalt with quiet confidence. As he entered through the dealership's glass doors, the distinct scent of new leather and polished wood greeted him. The interior exuded opulence, with luxury vehicles displayed under soft lighting, their flawless exteriors reflecting the refined ambience. Logan's gaze scanned the showroom, taking in every detail, his excitement carefully masked by his calm demeanor. At the front desk, a tall woman with immaculate blonde hair and a sharp navy blazer looked up. Her name tag read Victoria. Her posture was perfect, her smile professional but distant, the kind that spoke of politeness honed by repetition rather than genuine warmth. "Good morning," Logan said, his voice smooth and self-assured. "I'm interested in the Aston Martin Vantage out front. Could I speak to someone about the pricing and financing options?" Victoria's eyes flickered briefly, her gaze assessing Logan with a subtlety honed over years of sizing up customers. Her lips curved into a polite smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Good morning," she replied, her tone honeyed but with an edge that Logan recognized instantly. "That model starts at $140,000. Are you certain you're ready to commit to something in that price range?" Logan's brow lifted slightly, the question catching him off guard. He had expected professionalism, not thinly veiled condescension. "I'm aware of the pricing," he said evenly, keeping his tone neutral. "I'd like to move forward, if that's all right." Victoria's smile faltered for a fraction of a second before she regained her composure. "Of course," she said, her words clipped. "Let me see if the vehicle is still available." She picked up the phone, but didn't dial, instead glancing toward the showroom floor, where the Aston Martin gleamed under the overhead lights. Logan's patience wavered slightly, but he maintained his composure, determined not to let her behavior overshadow his moment. Minutes ticked by, and it became clear Victoria was stalling. Logan's jaw tightened imperceptibly. He was no stranger to being underestimated. Over the years, he had navigated boardrooms and business deals where his presence had been questioned before his worth was acknowledged. But this was different. He had walked into the dealership with the intent to celebrate, not to prove himself. "Is there an issue?" Logan asked finally, his tone calm but firm. "If the car isn't available, perhaps I can look at similar models." Victoria's pen tapped against the desk rhythmically before she set it down. Her lips pressed into a thin line. "The issue is," she began, her voice carefully measured, "we like to ensure our time isn't wasted, yours or ours. This is a high-end dealership, and we have certain protocols." The words hit Logan with a clarity that left no room for doubt. He steadied himself, refusing to let his irritation show. "Protocols?" he repeated, his tone even. "I'm not sure I understand. I just want to discuss financing options." Victoria leaned forward slightly, her smile gone. "I don't think this is the right dealership for you," she said. "Perhaps a mid-range lot would better suit your needs." A murmur rippled through the showroom. Customers and staff began to take notice of the exchange. Logan glanced around briefly, his composure intact but his thoughts racing. Was this really happening? In 2024, in a city celebrated for its diversity and progress, the assumptions underlying her words were unmistakable, and the implications stung. Before Logan could respond, a young salesman in a grey polo shirt approached. His name tag read Eric. He seemed nervous but resolute. "Victoria, I can assist him," Eric offered. "We don't turn customers away, do we?" Victoria's glare could have frozen fire. "Eric, this isn't your decision to make," she snapped. "I'm following protocol." Eric hesitated but didn't retreat. "I just think—" "Enough," Victoria cut him off, her voice sharp. This is my dealership. I make the decisions here. Logan raised a hand, gesturing for Eric to stand down. I appreciate your help, he said sincerely, then turned back to Victoria. I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm here to buy a car. If you're refusing to assist me, I'll need to escalate this matter. Victoria's smirk returned, colder than before. Escalate to who? She asked, her tone dripping with mockery. You think this is some sort of discrimination case? Good luck proving that. Logan's jaw tightened, but he refused to lose his composure. He reached for his phone, intending to document the interaction, but before he could press record, a voice cut through the tension. Excuse me, the voice said firmly. All heads turned to see an older man in a tailored suit stepping forward. His salt and pepper hair and commanding presence exuded authority. I couldn't help but overhear, the man said, addressing Victoria. I'm Peter Hargrove, an attorney, and I'd like to know why this gentleman is being denied service. Victoria's confidence visibly faltered. This is a private matter, she said quickly. It doesn't concern you. Peter ignored her, turning to Logan. Would you mind explaining what's been happening here? He asked, his tone measured. Logan hesitated briefly, then recounted the interaction, his words precise. Peter listened intently before turning back to Victoria. Interesting, he said, his voice calm but cutting. Do you always decide who belongs here based on assumptions, or is this a special case? Victoria opened her mouth to respond, but seemed at a loss for words. The tension in the room grew thicker. Customers openly stared now, some whispering among themselves. Even the sales staff seemed unsure whether to intervene or remain silent. Peter stepped closer to Victoria, his voice lowering but still audible. Let me be clear. Refusing to serve a customer based on arbitrary assumptions is unethical and potentially illegal. If this gentleman chooses to pursue this legally, I'd wager it won't end well for you or this dealership. Victoria's lips trembled as she struggled to maintain control. This is a misunderstanding, she stammered. We have financing requirements, and Peter gestured toward her desk, where the computer remained untouched. Financing requirements? Interesting claim, considering you haven't even run his credit check. So, tell me, what exactly are these requirements based on? Victoria's face flushed, but she remained silent. Logan stood tall, his gaze unwavering as he glanced around. The tide was turning, not just for him, but for something larger. The other customers no longer appeared indifferent. This moment had transcended a mere transaction. It had become a reckoning. Is that so? Came another voice from the corner of the room. An older woman in a soft beige coat stepped forward. Her sharp eyes locked onto Victoria. I've been a loyal customer here for years, and I've never seen anyone treated the way this man has been today. Care to explain why? Her voice carried the weight of authority, and murmurs of agreement rippled through the gathering crowd. Victoria's poise cracked. I was only following procedure, she said weakly. We ensure customers meet certain criteria before investing our time. Logan's lips pressed into a thin line. The veneer of professionalism was peeling away, exposing a deeply ingrained bias that couldn't be ignored. He looked directly at Victoria and said, Procedure, or prejudice. I came here to celebrate success, not to justify my presence. The crowd grew restless, murmurs of discontent growing louder. The air in the showroom had shifted, and it was clear this was no longer a private matter. Peter Hargrove addressed the crowd, his voice cutting through the noise. Ladies and gentlemen, this moment matters. This isn't just about a car. It's about fairness, dignity, and accountability. More voices joined in, customers recounting their own experiences of subtle dismissals and outright bias within the dealership. Each story added weight to Logan's stand, creating a collective reckoning that left no room for Victoria's excuses. Logan turned to the young salesman Eric. Let's proceed, he said firmly. Run the numbers, and let's finish this. Eric nodded, his hands moving swiftly to retrieve the necessary paperwork. The final moments were a blur of activity, yet the sense of empowerment lingered long after Logan signed the dotted line. The Aston Martin Vantage was his. As he walked toward the car, keys in hand, the crowd parted with admiration and respect. The once oppressive air of the dealership felt lighter, a silent acknowledgement of the change that had just begun. Outside, Logan paused beside his new car, the sunlight catching its flawless silver finish. Peter approached him, a satisfied smile on his face. Well done, Peter said. Moments like these remind us of the power of standing up for what's right. Logan nodded, the weight of the moment settling into resolve. It's just the beginning, he said. We all deserve better than what we've been taught to accept. Peter extended his hand, and Logan shook it firmly. As he slid into the driver's seat of his new car, the engine roared to life, a fitting end to a day that was as much about the journey as the destination. The road ahead was open, and Logan was ready to drive forward.